Thanks for joining. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and our guests are David Winker and Anthony D. Donato with the Coral Gables
Well
Country
done.
Club. I know. Can you imagine that? All right. I have it spelled out phonetically. All right. I got it broken down into simple syllables. All right. That we were able to do that. Today, we're going to be talking about the Coral Gables Country Club, your involvement in that, and what the future looks like for the citizens of Coral Gables and for the business there. And since David is a member of the Coral Gables Country Club and a community advocate, David, why don't you open up and let's talk about what's going on with the Coral Gables
That's
Country
awesome.
Club.
Great to be here. Thank you for doing this. I mean, here we are in the hub of community news, and it really is great to talk about these issues and address. Sorry, I've got my
It's okay.
my automatic
you'll
Facebook
figure out how to work it
shares.
out.
Exactly. And it's great to be here. And this is, I think that you can put this in the context of a long line of things that have been happening in the Gables. And Anthony's going to talk a little bit more to like the experience. And, I think in this case, there's been a good resolution that Anthony's going to talk about for the residents. There's been a struggle in the Gables to get our elected officials and our city officials to listen to what the residents want. And I think that you're going to hear a story of a project that may have been moving in the wrong direction, moving in the right direction now. And residents there's some work to do, but residents may be getting what they want. Voices being heard. This is a long line. I mean, it started with, I always say that, one of the things that happens with cities is I'm a capitalist. I'm not an activist. I'm often seen as an activist attorney. And the corporations have a fiduciary duty to maximize profit. And that's what they do, and that's what they should do, and that's what they're required to do by law. And we as residents depend on the city to be our advocate, to be advocating for our interests at the table. And it seems to been this consistent breakdown in that relationship, what I've often coined as special deals for special people done behind closed doors. We saw it with the Wawa. We saw it with the El Greco deal. And the latest chapter is Burger Bob's.
Yep.
And the Country Club, which we're going to talk about today.
We talk to the county folks all the time, Public Works and the Waste Department. That's for you, David. And one of the things that I continue to hear from them, they said, our customers, meaning the taxpayers, all right? They're the ones, whatever service they need, they paid for that. And in any city, we pay taxes, all right? And we should have a gigantic voice, because actually it's that voice that elects people and diselects people and moves them on. So I know you've been struggling these last couple months on what to do. So Anthony, let's hear from you. All right.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us here today. Much appreciated. It's been a definite struggle. As many know, we took over the Country Club 10 years ago. We took over a shuttered venue that we wanted to open up to the community, and I think we were very effective in that. We turned a private country club into one that all the neighbors could enjoy. We have the gym facility, we have the event space, we have the Liberty Cafe, which so many people hold dear. And over the years, we've evolved that. We've learned what the community wanted, and I think we've done a very effective job in doing that. We're members of the community. My kids go to the school, St. Teresa, down the street, and it's well embraced by the families and people there, and they love us. So the recent happenings with the city, this is their property. They're our landlords. We respect that. We understand that. We feel that we were a little blindsided in what happened. And it's unfortunate because I devoted my heart and soul to this place.
So what happened?
They sent us a non-renewal. So we had a 30-year lease with the city of Coral Gables, and we've invested millions of dollars into that space. We've revitalized it and made it the amazing venue that it is today. And people really, truly love it. And that's being taken away. We tried to fight it. They did not want to have it. We did our best. And frankly, lately, it's been taking a toll on me physically, mentally as well. And I just don't know if it's worth fighting anymore because, I have my health, I have my family to look after. So we're kind of taking a step back. We had this town hall, which had tremendous support. It was amazing to see.
Can we
people
put that
coming out.
picture up?
Yeah, talk a little bit about the town hall and the incredible turnout.
So there's been some allegations as of late from the city, and they threw a lot of things at us, making a lot of claims. And we had this town hall because there's a lot of rumors going around, and we had to address those. And I think we did a very good job in addressing them. And a lot of people were surprised, and they voiced their concerns. And I know the city, they got a lot of emails and a lot of backlash from the community. That was not our intent at all. We wanted this to be a very productive forum. And I think we did a good job in delivering it and showing what we do. And one of the big issues the city said they had with us is letting the building deteriorate. And as you can see in those photos, like, we host many weddings and functions, and the venue is spectacular.
And by the way, just to let everybody know, I was there this morning, took a tour, looked around, had breakfast. Thank you very much, for that. I'd been there just a couple times for weddings, and then also a couple of years ago, I was across the street over at the restaurant that was over there, and I look at it. Looks fine to me. The gym in particular was good. The wedding hall.
You have very low standards, though.
Yeah, I wave when I go by the gym. All right. So the city, after 10 years, said, we don't want to renew your lease.
Exactly.
Right? And they gave you notice.
That's right.
And what's happened since then?
Well, since then, we tried to fight it. And then, unknowing to us, they put an RFP as we were still trying to negotiate and see what was wrong with how we're operating things. And they threw an RFP through, and it really backed us against the wall. And we spent a lot in legal fees to go back and forth. And our only alternative was, funny enough, today's September 30th. We were supposed to end our lease today, and they wanted us out. So we had to fight to stay leased until April, because we have a lot of obligations to clients, to members, to brides. So you can imagine you're having a wedding, and October, your wedding's canceled. Sorry, you lose your wedding. So we said we have a responsibility to the people, to the community. We can't just shut down. So was option A, shut down September 30th, or we fought to say, let's try and at least do right for the community and the people. Because we've been there 10 years, and this is my life and soul, and just to be shutting down and walking away without fulfilling our obligations, it's not right.
And David, so they agreed to that at this point to stay there until the end of April.
That's right.
So you could take care of the things you needed to.
Exactly.
So
And then I think that what you've seen is just this incredible uprising, outpouring of support. Clearly the elected officials are getting an earful from residents saying, like, we're not happy about this. And it's been interesting because there's this common refrain from elected officials who say, no, there's misrepresentations. That's what they always say. And of course they don't give any substance to exactly what it is, right? It's, I'm a lawyer, and, in law, it's like, okay, like, what did they say? Why is it false? It's a mathematical equation, right? The sky, they say the sky's green. Well, the sky's blue. Here's a picture of the sky. The sky was blue that day. And, that's not what's happening, right? They say, oh, it's misrepresentations. And it was interesting because it's kind of like it escalates as these things do. And Mayor Lago, in his mayoral comments the other day, gave a without noticing it, right? Just it was just said mayor comments. Then he goes into kind of, basically setting the record straight. And it was interesting, because if it had been noticed, you would have had 500 people there. So I'm sure that was on purpose. And I think the residents are going to have a chance in the future to have this aired out. But it was interesting because for example, there was, the mayor said, hey, listen, they're setting up a straw man. Like, we're fighting a straw man here. Like, no one wants or is proposing a large restaurant. No one is proposing something that's going to increase traffic. No one is proposing like what y'all are scared about. And it's interesting because, like, one of the first things I did is just to, as somebody who's interested in this, I pulled the RFP. And it's like, okay, what was this RFP?
And that's a request for proposal.
A request for proposal to the public. And, one of the services is that you have to give as part of the proposal is an upscale, full service restaurant. And it has in parentheses, inside and outdoors on pool deck. So we're talking about a massive restaurant. And, they're saying like, no, we don't want to do that. And, But your RFP said that. I mean, that's why residents are upset. Residents can read this as well as I can. So the pushback on that is, it's like, well, no, this is the direction you were going. And now the residents are pushing back and you're saying you're not going to do it. And I would say one thing that's interesting about this is, this RFP had one response, and it was the Barreto Group. It was deemed not responsive, to the proposal. So basically, we're kind of in a situation where they're going to terminate this family, and there is no plan in place.
So the feedback that I got, they, meaning you, signed an agreement saying that you would be out at the end of April. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yes, we did.
Okay. And you did that because you had a couple of choices: either leave at that moment, but you had an obligation you want to fulfill. Congratulations on doing that, because it'll be a lot of unhappy people.
Thank you.
Right. And since then, the public has said, no, we like what's there.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, David. In there, they said it. One of the, I think it was the mayor, said, we don't want a restaurant in there, but here they want a big restaurant, full service restaurant. What does that mean?
But I know, say, and I think I'll jump in on that, because I think, and I want you to talk about it. But that's the victory, right? The victory is the residents get what they want, right? At least that's what was said by the commissioners in response to the mayor's comments was, no one wants a restaurant. We hear you loud and clear. Trust us. We want to keep the concept the same. And I think that, you guys were part of that fight to say, like, let's make sure that the residents' voice is heard about what this should look like.
Exactly.
And so these folks that went to the town hall meeting at the country club, they talked with you. It was a conversation going back and forth. And there weren't too many unhappy people with the service that you were providing.
There was zero.
Right. So here it is. You're obviously very passionate about this. This time, the last 2 years have been a lot of stress for everybody. Businesses have been suffering tremendously. The husbands, the wives, the sister brothers, etc. The stress on everybody is gigantic. No, that we've never experienced anything like this. And so many people throughout the community have been dinged by this, and some more than others. Obviously, you're passionate about this. When you mentioned about that you have to look for your family and make sure that you're doing the right thing, right?
That's right.
How are you really feeling about this? Let people know what this has done.
Well, it's sad because my wife and I, we relocated here to South Florida about 11 years ago. And we had this vision in which we wanted to convert this private club into something where everybody could enjoy. And since then, we've had 2 young, beautiful children, and we're happy that they're a part of this community. And that was our goal. That was our intent. And now for that to be ripped away from us is sad. And not to mention all the employees and the families that it's affecting as well. And the community, the members who go there, the many cafe patrons that cross through those doors every day. To lose all that for no real right reason is painful. But like I said, too, it's been taking a toll on me. And if we're not welcome there, if the city doesn't want us there, then you know what? We're just going to walk away, because it's my health, my safety, my family is far more important. But if the people want us to stay, we'll have our phones by our side, and we will be by. If you want us there, we will be there. But if the city's not welcoming us, then yeah, we're
and I think, I would like to jump in on that, because I think that one of the things that, that is so important for us is, we're a city that has been built by outsiders. We bring people in, we welcome them. Every wave of people fleeing political instability, every person coming to put money in sunny South Florida, like, that benefits us. And I think that this story is a cautionary tale in, like, what do we want to do? Are we welcoming people, or are we chasing people off? And these special deals for special people continue to make it clear that if you do business in this, you're going to have to deal with a level of cronyism. You're going to have to deal with a level of, again, just, people doing backroom deals. And we've got to stamp that out. This has to be done. And one of the things that I would say, just as a resident, is, like, how should this have looked? Right? There should have been a meeting, and there should have been a determination. It's like, okay, we're unhappy with how the country club is being run, which you'd never gotten any indication before. What was the first indication? The letter from Hall in the Night?
Exactly. Well, during COVID, we're late on our rent payments. So
like
I think
everybody else.
every person was late, and especially in the hospitality field, that sector got decimated, as everybody knows. Our revenues last year alone were down over $2 million. But yet the city demanded their rent payments on time, maintaining the facility and everything else, while we were mandated shut and locked out with zero cash flow. They wanted their rent every month. And when they did, we paid it. As hard as it was, we paid it.
And so, all of a sudden,
And you're caught up with everything.
Yeah, we're fully caught up. Every
Okay.
default was cured. Every alleged thing they stated was cured. And there's a few other allegations that I would like to clear the air on too. So maybe later we could.
let's go ahead. Exactly. Let me just finish this point, and then we'll get to the specifics. But the idea is, if it's process. Like as a lawyer, it's like they're good outcomes have good process. Good process leads to good outcomes. Bad process leads to bad outcomes. This is a bad process. If the city wanted to put this out or decide to go in a different, let's just say go in a different direction than the DiDonato family running this facility, or change the use of the facility, or whatever you're going to do, there should be a town hall meeting, and people should be able to bring forth ideas. Residents, this is your space. What would you like this to look like? And it's interesting because we're moving away from that.
So why the hammer on this instead of that process? Even in unemployment cases, if we're going to want to let somebody go, you got to give them say, this is the problem, this is the fix. You've warned. Second time, if you you need to fix this. If you don't, this is what's going to happen. But that's not the case with what happened to you. They just sent us, it's over.
And I would say, like, not again, everyone, they're taking the high road on this, and it's this back and forth doesn't help anybody. But this is consistent with a pattern. This is the Wawa. This is El Greco. This is just people not doing things in the sunshine of saying, we think this should go in a different direction. And it would have been interesting to think about how this process would have looked, because you would have opened it up and said, we wanted to have a community conversation about the country club. And what would have happened? 500 people would have shown up and said, we love the country club. Why are you messing with the country club? And that would have, in a normal situation, would have been the end of it. Or some people may have said, you know what? We'd like this. We'd like swimming lessons. We'd like to do this. That is not that, instead what happened was, all of a sudden you're gone, and we're going to come up with all these reasons to get rid of you, which I'd love, we can talk about.
So 30 years ago, we were doing a story on state attorney, and Janet Reno, God bless her, at the time said to the reporter, sometimes people write the story and then the headline. In your case, she was pointing to somebody that worked for us. You wrote the headline first, and then you found the facts to support the headline. So what it sounds like, they already made that conclusion. This is what we want to happen. We're not interested in fixing this or coming up with some new things. They just said it's over for whatever their reasons were, and maybe they're entitled to do that as a landlord. But obviously, at that point, they'd already made a decision. We don't want that you there.
And put out an RFP that says upscale first full service restaurant. And like, did you guys approach the city about doing an upscale full service restaurant?
Yeah, we did many years ago. We were supposed to open Chibo Wine Bar in the country club, but there's some backlash from the community, and we wanted to do a nice, beautiful restaurant, patio, the whole bit. But the residents, they weren't too keen on it. So we said, you know what? We're going to keep just the cafe how it is, and we'll move the restaurant to Miracle Mile, because right now there's an over 25% vacancy rate on Miracle Mile, and it seems like all the attention is focused on an area that's currently working. So why do they want to change that dynamic? The big focus should be on downtown. It should be on the big developments and things like that.
So there's some things you wanted to bring up. So let's make sure we get we
And let me just finish with this. We'll talk about that. But to go back to this, when you want to talk about facts, the fact is the city put out an RFP to expand this and to do exactly what residents don't want. So to chastise residents for misunderstanding, or chastise the country club for putting out misinformation, the bottom line is exactly what people reacted to, which is more traffic, parking problems, and an upscale restaurant that doesn't fit within the character of this location or this neighborhood is exactly what the city was going to do. And by shining a light on that stopped. So I just want to kind of full circle, because it's there. It's in black and white. The city cannot back away from the fact that they put out an RFP doing exactly what the residents don't want to have happen.
let's hear it.
All right. So a few of the things that they mentioned, and the city manager, he sent out some letters, I guess, to his advisory boards and to all the community, to the people. And I have to say the city, they have been doing a good job with many things, and Coral Gables is an amazing city, and we were honored to be a part of it. But some of their sayings were pretty hurtful in terms of obviously our late rent payments. There's no mention of COVID there, and that was a big part of it. And then also there's a percentage rent component to that too. And for many years, we've always been paying the same rent and percentage rent over the years. So they did not agree with our recent allocations. So we went by what they said and we paid the full amount. So all these rents that are supposedly past due or late have all been rectified. We did not receive 1 penny reduction, no abatements whatsoever, and we fulfilled every single obligation there. The other allegation too is the deterioration of the building. As you can see, the building is in fantastic shape. We have many clients that come through the doors daily. And to say that the building is deteriorating is quite an offense to me because we hold that space dear. Like that is my home. I'm there more than my own home. And we invite people all the day, and that's our reputation. Our company has many historic properties, and we ensure that we maintain it to the highest standard. The roof was to be done 10 years ago by the city when we first took over, and it was only partially done. So some of that has to do with the water penetration because the roof was never properly fixed in the first place. There's also mention about our pool deck. The pool deck is over 60 years old, and the city started doing work on that 7 years ago, replacing a partial slab. And then that work got forgotten, never got finished. And now during COVID, they're coming at us saying that, oh, you should have filed insurance claims to fix these things. But it's clearly due to age of those items.
I don't even understand it because they're the owner of the building. Like, why are they telling you to put the insurance claim in?
I don't know. So we put the insurance claim in and it got denied. So we maintain that building to the highest standard. We patch, we repair the roof, we replace all the AC, everything is done.
And let's talk about the roof because the one thing that you see, and you noticed it, the one thing that you see that's derelict in the building is the roof.
The roof, yeah, and it was time. And some sections of that roof are over 40 years old. And if the city wants us to rebuild and restructure the whole thing, then I may as well buy the building from them. So I think to date we've been doing a fantastic job, and we invite everybody to come by and see our beautiful venue and make that decision. And then there's also mention about other businesses and corporations running through the club. That's clearly a fallacy. The gym has always been running there. The country club is running there as a catering facility. I personally have a few real estate holdings. That's my own personal business. Tenants occupy a property I own. I use the country club as my mailing address. I don't think there's any crime in that. So if that was a problem, they should have approached me 8 years ago when I registered that corporation and said, hey, by the way, that shouldn't be there. And I removed that. That wasn't a problem for me. So all these things they're mentioning clearly could be rectified and justified. And for them to throw us out like this is an injustice. But as I mentioned earlier, if we're not welcome there, if they don't want us there, then we will walk away. But we'll walk away with our heads held high. And hopefully we leave a lasting impression on that property, and that the city and that the people were heard and are respected.
And if you could push a magic button for a solution, you go like that, what would it be?
We would love to stay. This is my heart and passion. I can't just pick up the country club and move it to somewhere else. It's not an insurance office. It's not an accounting firm. Our business is the Coral Gables Country Club, and that place holds a special place in my heart. And without that, I've lost everything. I've lost the last 10 years of my career, the last 10 years that I've built and put blood, sweat, and tears into. Like, to me, that's invaluable. You can't put a price on that. But my health and my family, I could have put a price on. And if we're not welcome, I don't want to keep this constant battle. I just want my employees to be taken care of. I want my family to be taken care of. And if we need to go, we'll gladly go.
It's interesting because, you talk about walking away with your head held high. I have in front of me, there was an email blast that was put out by the city about, the mayor's comments the other day. And there's a statement, that I think that, we as residents are going to hold the city to. And that the statement was, the commission will not allow for a large restaurant or spilling of cars into the neighborhood. And that may be your legacy. Your legacy may be, this RFP will not be made the same way again. The city will actually fix this and take into account what residents they are. And it's interesting because you say, I love your solution. It's oftentimes I ask clients, where would you want to be with this? And I think that is it. It's to me, this whole process, as a resident, I think that this whole process should start all over again. And I think that we should, it's almost like we need our elected officials, if we have to, we shouldn't have to do this, but we should pass pass an ordinance or something to address these issues of unsolicited proposals. We're going through with Burger Bob's. We're going through with this. It's interesting because one of the things that what I discovered in kind of reviewing the papers behind this is these guys had an option to take over Burger Bob's. Maybe talk about what was the decision making on why you didn't take over Burger Bob's?
Well, we felt that wasn't our place. Even now, we could have put a bid on Burger Bob's. We didn't. And I respect Bob. He's a fantastic gentleman. He's got a great crew there. And we supported them. And I said, anything you need for us to do, we will do. But we won't take over your place because that's not our space. That's your space.
So one of the things that's occurred since you've gotten more active with this is the RFP said a big restaurant. And now they're saying no big restaurant.
No restaurant.
So that's certainly something that was created by them, but solved by your efforts.
Well, the residents
spoke.
spoke.
The neighbors said, "Hey, we don't want that." Right. So the city's listened now.
They listened. Yes.
So here we are, October 2021, as if things are going along the way it is, and for 6 months you'll be going someplace else. If that's your choice, and that's a choice of the city, and that's the way it rolls out, what might that look like for you?
I'm not sure. I'm not even looking that far ahead. I'm actually focusing on the day-to-day, but we'll figure it out. We're blessed. I got an amazing family. I have a lot of amazing friends. I met a lot of people along the way. This has been a humbling experience for me too. It has been. And I just don't know. I just want to take it a day at a time, and I'm trying to appreciate the time with my kids too, because they're growing up so fast. And
this is a tough time for a lot of people with all that extra stress that's there. You devoted 10 years plus the dream before the 10 years of being able to do that.
That's right.
And the hope that the lease would be renewed and there would be some meeting of the minds upon a potential renewal, but obviously they didn't do that. All right. And so again, so here it is. The citizens of Coral Gables have spoke. We like the vendor. We like what's there. We enjoy that. We don't want this other thing over there. So, David, as a active member of the community in Coral Gables and actually throughout the county, what would you like to see happen?
I go back to, I'm a capitalist. I believe in the free market, and I see these problems as a breakdown in the free market. To me, this should be straight up competition. And I think the residents have spoken, and I think they should just open it up to bidding. And they should accept all bidders. On a technicality, they're going to try to throw these guys out because they defaulted on how many payments? 3 payments during a pandemic.
It was 1 payment, and then the percentage rent, which they didn't agree, so we revised that, and all the.
No, we're talking about one late payment during a pandemic blocks them from being a competitive bidder. And it's like, as a resident, I'm like, I want them bidding. You know why? It's going to hold everyone else honest. They know exactly what that place is about. And I will challenge you, and I will challenge the elected officials. I think this is all BS. I think that what we're going to end up with is they're going to chase these people out of town or out of the venue. And then we're going to be left with a white elephant because no one can run this thing at a profit. They don't make any money, and no one's making it at a profit, and no one's going to bid on this. And we're going to end up paying for it as taxpayers, that we're going to operate it. And we're going to be paying salaries to all these people to operate this thing. And we've learned from marinas, we've learned from these spaces. Government does not run this efficiently. So I guess, my fix all is competitive bidding, bring them all in and let's go. But with an RFP that fits in with what people want, which was what people seem to want. And again, this should be an agenda item, and those 500 people should be able to come forth and say exactly what they want.
So this is a process, that you put it out to bid. Everybody gets to have an opportunity to bid on it. In this last case, there was actually one other person, plus you had an interest in that. In this town, that was it, with all the big shots down here. So
one non-responsive bid.
Yeah.
From Rodney Barreto to run, who is also looking at Burger Bob's to run an upscale restaurant. I mean, that's what
he's successful in most of his business, a big guy in the restaurant stuff. And so whatever his reasons were to bid on it or not bid on it, or respond to it, that's, his doing. But the process you're talking about is maybe the city should go ahead and rebid this thing according to their new wishes, which they demonstrated in the newsletter, and put it out and give whatever the normal time is for people to respond to it and see what comes up.
Yeah, I think that would be an ideal solution, and I think it would be a, to me, I think it would be important to just get, this is one of those things, like, get the information out, give everyone a chance, and let's get, let's find the, again, I'm going to give a shout out to, actually, can you put the comments up? We got I was just going to respond to one of the comments. It was interesting because there's a Headley Westerfield is a blogger, a political blogger, and he put out something the other day that said, like, serious question, when's the last time the residents got what they want? And he did the Wawa, he did the upzoning on Miracle Mile, he did El Greco, he did the Playhouse. He's like, sure, tell me when in South Florida the residents got what they want. And I think that the lasting legacy of this may be the residents got what they want. And something was going to be taken away from them, and they fought back, and that's going to do it. But I think that this should lead us to an examination again of what we're doing. So many people have reached out to me during this process that love the country club, are members of the country club, are not members of the country club, and just saying, like, we've got to turn this tide. Every time something bad happens in Coral Gables, we're told, oh, yeah, Aloft, yes, it's right on Lejeune. There's no setback, but that was just a mistake. We're not going to do that again. Oh, the Wawa, yeah, it was done in secret, but that was a one-time thing. We've learned from it. We're not going to make the mistake again. And it just seems like every time it just continues, and we've got to get our elected officials to focus, to keep the eye on the prize, which is let's deliver what the residents want. And we're seeing a change. We're seeing a turn of the tide. And if anything, I was really disappointed to see this happen, to see these battles over Burger Bob's, to see this battle over this. It feels like we're moving in the wrong direction. And again, I want to bring it back to, like, are we doing things that encourage investment in our community? And I want to be very clear. We want Rodney Barreto, right? Like, he has a right to bid, but let's make sure it's a process that works for everybody. And we get it. We want his investment too. And I think that one of these things that I oftentimes see in this, and maybe just as a resident, is like, you know what? It's not a binary choice. I want these guys and I want Rodney Barreto. Like, let's make these opportunities work for everybody. Let's bring in all the investment we can. We need jobs. We need these restaurant spaces. We need community spaces. We need places for our people to go in a constructive environment. We need more of this, not less.
And so being open about it and having an established process that we can all say, this is the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so at the end, you're going to know that you had a chance, you got it, or you didn't get it. We see the county do that all the time. When a bidder could say, listen, you messed this up, let's just rebid it, all right? And so that everybody has a fair opportunity. And certainly one of the things that we are concerned with the news organizations is transparency and openness, all right? And there's been a move certainly recently in a lot of places, not singling out any given place, to hide more stuff, right? And actually, it needs to be more open, all right? Because when it gets hidden, all right, we suspect there's something wrong or bad about it. So,
and let me respond to that. And it's interesting. I'd like to hear your perspective, but just like, here's the DiDonato family, one of the largest operators of hospitality and restaurant spaces in North America. What is their impression of the city of Coral Gables now? I'm not going to make him speak because I don't want, but like what is, these are sophisticated operators. Do they think they got a fair shake? I would posit no, they don't. And we need to make sure, like, that's just, like, we shouldn't have that happening. We should have people saying, I lost the space, fair and square. Barreto came in, kicked my butt. He gets the space. That to me is, there's nothing wrong with that. And we got to ensure that people feel part of this is perception of the public, and that's what part of what's happening here is, everyone's like, you got to trust us, and it's like, like, frankly, elected officials, we don't trust you.
So in their alone time, elected officials across the country, you think when they're contemplating their future and where they're at, was that a right thing to do, whatever that is? And one of the things my father taught me from this big, he said, Michael, when you go to do something, if it doesn't pass the Harold sniff test, don't do it. So when we operate. If everybody knew what you did,
All the facts
right?
on the front page of the Herald.
right? Would you be okay with? Yes. Okay, great. If not, then you need to look back and then ask yourself. So we just asked the politicians, if everything was more public and disseminated everywhere, are you okay with your process and the decision to get there? So again, we know you're passionate about this, very emotional issue, and deservingly so. Right? Is this your wife?
It's my
Lovely.
beautiful wife. She came.
All right. Thank you for being here. And
Yeah, on second thought, we wished you had done the interview. No, I'm just kidding.
and you have 2 young children.
2 young kids.
Right.
Yes.
They're lucky to have you guys, and
Thank you.
we come from an entrepreneurial family, so we understand that and how passionate we get, and to try to keep businesses alive, especially the last 2 years,
Yeah, it's been
and
a
then
challenge.
to look to the future. So I hope the future is bright
Thank
for
you.
you. Know that every day the sun comes up from over there,
It
and
does.
it goes down over there, and when it's in your darkest moment, we know what's coming next. So I'm going to congratulate you for serving the people of Coral Gables in Miami-Dade County.
Thank
for,
you.
for so long.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
David, you're going to
Thank you.
My pleasure. You're going to wrap. You're going to close this out here.
How can I wrap on that? Just thank you, community newspapers. You guys are the hub of community news for a reason. Besides the town hall, like, when have you had a chance to tell your side of the story?
We did it. We
Yeah.
did it.
And I appreciate
We
you
wanted
being
to
here.
keep it under the wraps. We wanted to make sure we could try to negotiate, but the city did not want to negotiate with us. So
Divorces and exits are always uncomfortable. Right. So again,
And I would tell you, the last thing I would say to you, and this is a good as a lawyer,
he says the last thing.
I
sure.
tell everybody, it's like, exit gracefully. Your paths are going to cross. Husband, wife, terrible divorce, are at each other's throats. Well, guess what? You got to raise these kids, and you're going to come to peace. And inevitably, I get a phone call from clients 20 years later saying, I'm friends with my ex-wife. I'm friends with my ex-husband. I'm friends with my ex-partner. And and it's so important to take the high road.
Yes.
And I think that, this is the DiDonato family is very sophisticated. They see that. And if anything, it's the city taking pot shots on the way out. And I think that, I would call on everybody, take the high road. Let's do the right thing. And let's keep in mind the eye on the prize, which is what? The residents.
Yes.
Let's make sure the residents get what they want.
So one thing, we mentioned something too. We're going to host a meet and greet this coming Thursday, October. What's the date? October 6th.
Next Thursday, what
Next
time?
Thursday at 6 to 8 p.m. in the atrium room. So we're inviting all the community to come out. We're going to have some drinks, some past hors d'oeuvres, just for the people to meet each other, to voice any concerns. They could even meet Nick or myself. And we just want to thank them for all the years and for believing in us and trusting us. So we want to invite the community to come out, come see the space too, and see what we've done, and make sure we hold the city accountable, and to ensure the country club stays the way it is that we envision.
Anthony DiDonato, thank you very much for being here. David Winker, thank you for everything that
Michael.
you do for the community. Michael Fernandez, who's been behind the control board over there,
Good
we're going
job.
to take us out. Listen, folks, thank you very much for your time. Be safe out there, and we'll see you later.